A workflow is a set of statuses and transitions that each issue goes through in this life cycle. Statuses are simply the different steps, and transitions represent the movement between steps. A workflow represents a real business process, like building and deploying software, onboarding a new hire, marketing a product or service, or supporting customers. Different workflows are often built based on the type of work. There are simple task workflows, development workflows, support workflows, and other workflows for custom processes in your organization. When you create a new project, Jira automatically creates a new workflow for it. If the default workflow doesn't meet your business needs, create a custom one. Jira comes with some pre-built default workflows, like the ones in this screenshot. Some are editable and some are not. The last workflow was automatically created when the Jira demo project was created. Let's take a closer look at the workflow called Jira. Interestingly, the workflow admin page says it was last updated in 1969. I don't think we had Jira back then. Here's the default workflow named Jira in diagram mode. You can't change this workflow, but you can copy it and make changes to the copy. The boxes represent the statuses. Gray signifies issues in the beginning of the life cycle. Blue are statuses in the middle, and green are at the end. Older versions of Jira might also have dark blue and yellow statuses. The colors give users a visual representation of where issues are in the workflow. Additionally, users can query for all issues in a status category. In this example, issues in the backlog and selected for development statuses were both returned because both statuses are in the same status category. Okay, back to the default workflow. The lines between the status boxes represent transitions. The resolve issue transition leads to the resolve status. Transitions leading to a status are sometimes called incoming transitions. Transitions leaving a status are sometimes called outgoing transitions. Now, if you've read my book, you know how I feel about the resolve status and its transitions. Resolved and closed are confusingly similar names, especially for non-development teams. I believe there should only be one final status that indicates all work is done. Otherwise, issues languish in a status like resolved forever, which impacts reporting accuracy. Here's the exact same workflow, but in text mode. Text mode shows a workflow in a table format. In the open status, clicking the Start Progress transition moves an issue to the In Progress status. Clicking the Resolve Issue transition skips to the Resolve status, and clicking the Close Issue transition skips all the way to the final close status. We'll talk more about statuses, transitions, and editing modes in the next section. There are 3 different workflow states to be aware of: active, draft, and inactive. An active workflow is currently used by 1 or more projects. You can't delete an active workflow. To delete, you must make the workflow inactive by reassigning any projects using it. When you edit an active workflow, a draft is created. That way, there's no impact to a live project until the draft is published. When you publish the draft, Jira will help migrate existing issues to new statuses if needed. There's one unpublished draft in the screenshot. In Server and Data Center, drafts are shown with an information icon. This screenshot shows I'm editing a draft of an active workflow. There are some draft editing limitations to be aware of. First, you can edit a workflow's description, but not its name. The workaround is to copy the workflow and rename the copy. Next, you can't remove a status. The workaround is to point any transitions to other statuses. Even though the status is still shown, the issue won't go through it during the workflow. Finally, you can't add new outgoing transitions to a status that didn't already have them. The last state is inactive. Inactive workflows aren't in use by any projects and therefore have no editing limitations. Edit them any way you'd like or even delete them. In Cloud, click the Inactive Workflow tab at the top of the page. In Server and Data Center, there's an inactive section that expands at the bottom of the page. Let's dig deeper into statuses. As mentioned earlier, a status describes an issue's current lifecycle state. Jira comes with default statuses like To Do, In Progress, Done, Open, and Closed. Jira Software adds additional default statuses like Backlog and Select for Development. Jira Service Management adds additional default statuses too, like Waiting for Support and Escalated. You can also add custom statuses like In Review, Pending Approval, or On Hold status names. Must be unique. Jira won't allow you to create duplicates. Also, a status must already exist before you can add it to the workflow. Statuses are global elements, and that means they're shared between workflows. An issue status is displayed in many places. It's pictured here in an issue, but you can also see it on boards and dashboards, in search results, and in reports. The status information looks different between deployment types and depending on how projects are created. Atlassian is constantly experimenting with the user interface, especially in cloud. It's okay if your screen doesn't look exactly like my examples. Each status has a category. A status category helps a user identify where in the workflow the issue is. There are 3 status categories to do: in progress and done. Now, don't confuse these with statuses that might have the same name. Selecting a category is required, and category names are not editable. Each category has a unique color. End users will see the colors in issues and workflow diagrams. And as I mentioned earlier, users can query for all issues in a particular status category. The colors have changed over the years, so don't worry if yours are different. When you create a status, it's important to associate it with the most logical category selection. Early workflow statuses like open or new belong in the to-do category. Statuses in the middle of the workflow, like in development or being verified, belong in the in-progress category, and statuses at the end of the workflow, like closed or done, belong in the done category. Take a look at your status categories and make sure they make sense. Now let's talk more about transitions, which are what the user clicks to move issues between statuses. The screenshot shows 3 transitions for the in-progress status. From left to right, there are stop progress, start progress, and done. Each transition creates options in cloud, or buttons in server and data center. Both examples have the exact same transition options. They're just displayed differently. I classify transitions into 4 categories. Forward transitions progress issues in the workflow, and this is the expected path. Each time an issue moves forward, it moves closer to its final status. The start progress transition moves issues from the to-do status forward to the in-progress status. Backward transitions move issues back to a previous step in the workflow. These are often used when more information is needed, when a step needs to be repeated, like an approval, or when the issue was transitioned too far forward by mistake. The Stop Progress button in the in-progress status is a backwards transition. Alternate transitions give users a choice. In the approval workflow pictured, the forward choice is approve and the alternate choice is reject. These transitions allow users to choose the best option for the situation. The final transition type is global. A global transition allows all statuses to transition to another status. For example, allow an issue to jump to the done status from anywhere in the workflow. In diagram mode, a global transition is shown with the all label. In text mode, a global transition is shown in italics. You can only create global transitions from diagram mode. You can edit or delete them in either mode. However, with global transitions, there are fewer transitions to create and maintain. In the screenshot on the right, notice the ID for the global done transition is 71. Editing any transition labeled 71 modifies them all.